Hello everyone, this is Christian Meldickstein Interactive, and when we're done with this video we will have it set up so that if our application throws an exception, then that exception or the information for it will be automatically emailed to us so that hopefully we can fix it as soon as possible. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started here. So the first thing that we're going to do is to create a new sort of email here. And included in the email is a model for it. And I'm actually going to start with the model. So inside the features folder, inside messaging, I have this email folder from a few videos back already. Actually has this test in here. We don't need any testing anymore. Let's go ahead and delete that. So inside the email folder, I'm going to choose add, and I need a class. And we're going to call that exception email model. Alright, as usual, get rid of all these. We don't need them for the moment. And we're going to go ahead. So of course, you know, you can have whatever data you want in this that you want to be sent in the email. Add more, add less, who knows, it's up to you. But at least this will give you an idea. So an dictionary, and we'll have exception data. We'll have a stack frame array and frames. Header dictionary, and I called it headers. I don't know why I have this stupid in here. These things never help anyway, but whatever. String help link and HR results. Probably went through and saw what's available and just, hey, let's take everything. This will be a string. Inner exception, string, message, source, stack trace. Ooh, what's going on there? String, target site, string, time, type, up, string, and string. Alright, so we've got them all. Of course, we need to populate them, so let's come up to our constructor here. We're going to expect to be passed in an exception, and we're going to get the HTTP context as well. Alright, so let's populate some stuff. Var trace equals new stack trace. Alright, frames equals trace dot get frames. Almost would have said it was in alphabetical order, not quite. So exception data, e.data, headers, context dot request dot headers, help link, h result, perfect. So if there is an inner exception, give me the message. If there isn't, let's make it empty. Message, e.message. Interesting. So make a stack trace from the exception up there. This is me trying to run over why I have everything. So that probably can be cleaned up. I don't know why, but that's the way it was done originally. It's been a long time since I wrote this stuff, so we're just going to leave it there. Like I said, you may or may not, you can clean up that a little bit. So target site, target site to string. So time, use a template string here. All right, and what do we need here? So let's do date time dot now. Of course, you may want to change this to be something else, some kind of, this is server time. You may want it to be related to something else, but long date string. I guess all right, so and then we'll just do a datetime dot now too long time string. Datetime type so the get type and the full name, and last but not least the URL. And we'll go ahead and use a template string for it as well. We will take the context dot request dot scheme. Guess I felt like making the full thing on my own. Context dot request dot host. I went all out. Context dot request dot path. And I assume the query string. Context dot request. Yeah. Now, sitting here, having seen that, I received a few exceptions here, and I've gotten them, none of them with query string. So it comes to mind, I don't off the top of my head know whether the query string includes the question mark or not. You have to look it up, see if it does. If it doesn't, we can add it to it. And I think I actually had a little @ sign up here on my time. So at blah, 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 whatever. Of course, like I said, you can adjust this to be however you want it to be. Change things around, make it your own. So go ahead and save that. So we have the model for our exception. What we need then is to have the view for it. So basically add new item. I'm just going to add text. Don't mess with it. So we call this exception. And actually I need to rename. One second. I like the fact that the Visual Studio nests these things. So what I should have named that the model, I actually just want it to be exception email with no model on the end. I do want to keep the class itself though, name ending in model. So now we can add new item, text, and I'm going to call it, I still didn't name it the way I wanted to, exception email.cshtml.cs, or no, just .cshtml. And of course what I'm going for is, as you make the pages, they have a model and it gets nested in Visual Studio, and I like that. So third time's the charm here. We're going to rename that model file to be exception email.cshtml.cs. Now, hopefully, I think that I'm finally done renaming the thing. We'll return to to the actual email itself here. Add a using statement to the top. System.collections. And we need our model. So add model equals web UI. And I see I need to update that. So features dot messaging dot email dot exception email model. All right. So now we are ready to make our email. And look at that. So I don't need any of this. We need a doc type. Who knows? Put it up there. Okay, so inside of the head here, we're going to create a meta tag and HTTP equivalent and content type. I can't even think of how long it's been since I actually typed this. I'm sure I copied and pasted it when I made the article. But so UTF-8 title. Let's give it a title. Exception. All right, and we might skip typing this stuff out. It's a little ridiculous. What we'll do here, so of course we're sending an email. We can't have any external style sheets to link to this thing. I'm basically going to obviously use a table for it, so we'll have a little bit of styling for the table, body, columns, whatever. All right, so we come down into body. We want a table, and I don't really deal with. I wonder why it didn't give me a body. Just put this inside there. Come out of there. Don't need a header or anything for this, so tbody. All right, so let's do it this way. So basically this is going to be a 2-column layout here, and you can order them however you want. So we have the time coming in, first thing, then we'll get the message. Let's go ahead and type this one. So we want to deal with the frames that we have on there. So TD frames. That's for each, and in here, frame in model.frames. What we'll do is say var method equals frame.getMethod. Var full name equals method.declaringType. Come on, spell right. Declaring type, if that's not equal to null, so we'll use a template string. If it's not equal to null, we'll say method.declaringType dot full name. Put a little dot there. Come back in method.name. Otherwise, we'll just take the method name. Perfect. All right, let me just copy these in then. What we're looking for, we have the full name then and the frame itself. And for the rest of these, we are just going to copy this stuff in. Back up. That was helpful. So frames, we have the stack trace, the type, basically everything coming in. Headers, we go in the for each, break them down. Exception data, same thing, key value in our columns. All right, let's go ahead and save that. Of course, there's a link to the article for this video in the description below. Has all of this information. You could simply just copy and paste it. Don't have to type it out yourself. So now what we want to do is to go into our iMessage service that we created in the last video. I sort of want the message service to take care of handling the emails itself, so we'll just pass in some, the basic information and have it take care of it. So we're going to create another, actually we're going to create 2 signatures here. I find that we need to have sort of a point to send emails to. There's several instances in which I want to send an email to myself, or not just me. So you might have a contact page and you want email to come in. Somebody is sending you a message or something, and so I generally send that to sort of a support address. So we're going to create a method just for that. So all we'll need from it is the subject and the message. We're going to create another one and send exception email async. So we'll see if I can remember changes that need to be made on the article for this. We'll pass in the HTTP context as well, as I can see up there. That's what I want. Send email to support seems to be missing something, which is the async. Obviously it's not needed, but I like to keep with the convention. Go ahead and save and close that. And of course our message service is now broken. And of course, if I didn't mention, I don't think I did, this video is building off the previous video, which was all about setting up the message service. So if you haven't seen that, you can check that out and come back. Let's go ahead and just say implement. Get me them and all right. So send email to support async. It's a pretty easy one here. We'll just say await and send task async. This should be then send email async. So it's basically just a wrapper around the first bit of this, right? So we need to have a display name. I don't know. A lot of times I have an address that normally is a no reply. I don't know. Maybe I could put. So we're basically sending. We need an account to send the information from, right? We have to have the username and password. So we'll just send them all from this no reply address. No reply at your domain.com. Where do we want to send it to? Well, support, and cleverly enough, support at your domain.com. Let's give us a little room here to take a look at here, and we'll then just say subject, message, done. All right, so that's just that. And now we come down to our send exception email. So what we want is to get a message from this. And actually I've forgotten to do this. So also several videos ago, or a few videos ago, we created a view renderer so that we can take basically razor views and convert them into a string. So if you haven't checked that video out, check that one out as well. So private read only. It's an view renderer. View renderer. Of course, we need the constructor for that now. Get this to be injected into our constructor here. Perfect. Now we can come back down to our exception email, and we'll say the view renderer, and that just has a method render what we want to render. So in addition to creating the view render itself, we also had a view expander. It's in the same video. So automatically our view render is going to look inside of that email folder that we've put that exception email in. So all we need is the name there. And now we need the model. What do they call it? Email model. We need to pass in the exception and the context. So now we have a message, and it's as easy as saying await every time. Then it breaks in IntelliSense, and then I have to type a whole bunch of stuff. Send email to support async. We give it a subject. exception and the message. All right, so now we can send an exception or an email that contains the exception information to us, and we could go through and change everything that, or add, when we add things that could throw an exception, we can put a try catch block on it, send the email, blah blah blah. We don't want to do that every time, so we'll go ahead and close that. So we want this to be automatically notifying us. So we have this infrastructure folder here. I'm going to go into here and I'm going to choose add new class, and what we're going to add to this is an exception logging middleware. Doesn't really do much logging besides sending an email, at least at the moment. And what we're doing here could be done differently. Of course, again, it's up to you. Inside of our class here, I'm going to put a private read-only hosting environment. Private read-only message service, and private read-only request delegate, and call that sucker next. All right, so we're on to our constructor here. Not surprisingly, we need to add all these in. So request delegate, next, hosting environment, and message service, perfect, and environment equals environment, message service, sprightly message, and next is next. And of course, we need to implement one method on here, public async task invoke HTTP context, get the context. Now we'll have our try block, delete all that. So we'll wait and next context, right? Does absolutely nothing unless there is an exception. So we'll just put if and environment.is development. So if it is development, I'll just rethrow it. And I made a mistake when I was first messing with this thing, getting it working, and forgot this statement. Of course, we'll see later. We could put this in the startup, but I forgot this, and I forget what it was. But for whatever reason, the application threw an exception, and it took 10 minutes for the hundreds of emails to come through before I could delete them all. So don't want to forget this or have it in the startup. We'll say await message service dot send exception email, and we have the parts that we need. And so if this happens, then we have an exception. We don't want to just carry on. So all I'm going to do is to take the response, and I'm going to redirect. And where you would redirect to, obviously, for you to figure out, your domain.com/500. But I do usually have, URLs set up for this, 500, 404, that kind of thing. So we'll just redirect to another URL. And of course, our middleware is useless unless we add it to the pipeline. So we go to startup.cs file here, down to the configure method. So there is a use exceptions handler one already in here. I just comment that out. I haven't actually looked at the code for it, since I have to pass in a URL for it, this error here. I'm going to guess it does basically the exact same thing as what I'm doing, and it must have some way to configure it to allow us to log, that kind of thing, but who knows. We'll just comment it out, and I probably put it right about here. So app.use middleware. The one that I want is the exception logging middleware. I don't know. You could put it up here, but I mean, it's what error are these things going to throw, or exceptions are they going to throw? So, but of course, as before, use MVC, and so that takes care of it now. So if we receive an exception, we will have it automatically sent to us. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. I know that your time is valuable. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and click the thumbs up button, as well as share the video with your friends. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And once again, thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.